This is GrantTalk, hosted by Libby Hikind, founder and CEO of GrantWatch and author of The Queen of Grants.
Hi everybody, I'm Libby Hikind, founder and CEO of GrantWatch.com, and I am the author of The Queen of Grants, From Teacher to Grant Writer to CEO, and your host today on GrantTalk. So hit that subscribe button right below so we can bring you more funding sources and more grant awardees to hear what goes on behind the scenes. I am so happy to be here today with Ainsley Monroe and Heidi Tillmanns. Ainsley is the coordinator of the infrastructure and signage, and Heidi's the director of trail and infrastructure, located in Canada. So we're going to find out. They're funders. They give grants, and we want to know what they give grants for. So Ainsley, why don't you start off and let us know what do you give grants for? I hear infrastructure and signage, trail and infrastructure. What does that mean?
For sure. I think to talk about the grants that we give, we need to first talk about who we are as an organization. The Trans-Canada Trail has been around for around 30 years, and we look after about 30,000 kilometers of trail from coast to coast to coast all across Canada. We have a multitude of programs that support Indigenous communities, trail and infrastructure projects, and community building. And we're at work in communities all across Canada.
Okay, and when you give grants, it's for the signage so that people know where the trails are?
Yes, in part. We also give grants to Indigenous communities to support what's going on with them in terms of trail building and other initiatives. We have trail care programs that support local trails in different communities. We have infrastructure programs that support things like building bridges and installing various infrastructure projects. And we also have a Planting for Tomorrow program, among others, that's planting about 50,000 trees across the country every year.
I love trees. They give us the best oxygen possible and fruits. Great. So tell me, your trails are for people that are hiking and walking and bike riding, or are they for cars and trucks and whatever?
Yes, they're usually not on roadway. We are trying our best to get trails off of roadway as much as we can. We support things like hiking, cycling, paddling, equestrian sports, snowmobiling, and other outdoor activities and pursuits.
And Heidi, who are the people that apply for grants through your organization?
We have municipalities, cities will apply to our granting program, all the way down to small grassroots organizations where it's just mom and dad sitting around the kitchen table who have interest in, taking care of their local trail.
Ainsley, what kind of funding do you provide? Do you provide the in-kind resources of the people that are going to fix the trails, or do you provide dollar for dollar matching? How does it work?
So we're generally providing capital costs to go towards projects themselves. We do support in-kind and employee time, depending on what the trail groups need, but primarily it's going towards the infrastructure and the resources themselves.
People love to get capital cost money. That's a big thing, because it's not capital cost is to do the actual work, to make the improvement to the infrastructure, whereas general support and program support, they're great, but if the infrastructure isn't there, you can't proceed. So you're really beautifying and making Canada a place to go and helping with tourism.
Absolutely. And beyond supporting tourism, we're also supporting local communities who are using their trails. About 80% of Canadians live within about 30 kilometers of the trail. And due to our research, we've seen that a lot of local people are using their local trail systems. So rather than just helping out people who are coming to Canada or to various trail resources to explore and to see what's going on, we're also helping out local people in their own communities.
And do you get people out there, do you link up with the nutrition and the education and, the physical education community to get them to use the trails?
Heidi, I'll leave you to answer this one if you can.
Yes, of course. Yes, we connect with all educators, we'll connect with local running groups, we'll connect with running marathons, if that be the case. Like in Toronto, we help support the running series. But yeah, we'll reach out and do art festivals. Anything goes on the trail within reason.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love this outdoorsy kind of feel. I can't wait to get the B-roll that we're going to attach to this video so people could see how beautiful Canada really is and what you're doing. So, Ainsley, would it be nonprofits and businesses that would get funding?
We're generally working with nonprofit trail groups as well as municipalities.
If a nonprofit wants to do this trail improvement, infrastructure improvement, and is applying for a grant, and then they're going to run a program in that trail, if they were to then need a small business to provide T-shirts or whatever, those services, it would be in the grant application that they're going to purchase it from XYZ small business?
Generally, yes. We give our groups a lot of liberty in terms of being able to provide information to us that they have. We aren't necessarily an overseer when it comes to funds being used. We don't have to know every single budget line of what's happening. T-shirts, for example, would be something that would be minor, where we would encourage them to go to a local supplier, but depending on their resources and their availability and capacity, we sort of trust them with that sort of information and that capacity.
But you're kind of doing economic development with the small business, because if they're going to improve the infrastructure, they have to hire the local bulldozing company or whatever it is, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And in terms of, we have a lot of people who use the trail system as well for small businesses, such as running, a running group or something similar. So absolutely, we're supporting local communities in that way.
And tourism.
Absolutely.
Tremendous amount for tourism, and to advertise that this program is happening, we'll be ready in the next 6 months or a year. Plan your activities accordingly, right?
Sure thing. Yep.
Okay, so now let's go to your grants for a minute. Okay, let's think about the nonprofit organization, the community-based organization wants to improve the infrastructure of an area. They contact you, they find your grant on GrantWatch, because that's how we knew to interview you, right? What's the next step? Do they, what do they do?
So generally, groups will find our applications usually on our website. They submit an application to us, at which point it lands on our desks as the grant administrators. We take a look at the application, make sure all the paperwork and requirements are in place, and then from there we move forward with funding that group.
What are the mistakes that happen?
The biggest thing is to reach out to whoever is organizing the grant to make sure that you have all your paperwork in handy when you are applying. We're finding if there's an error, it's an incomplete application. They're missing their budget. We are asking for a timeline, and we are usually asking for a copy of insurance. So those three things are the most major things that get forgotten in an application. If we are missing something, we will outreach and we will walk with them to make sure that they are as successful as possible. But yeah, little things are, we'll get applications where we see something uploaded and all to find out it's a blank piece of paper that says, coming soon or something like that. If you're really not ready, we at TCT have what's called the pipeline. So we will talk it through your project and make sure that we give advice as best as we can to make sure that you have all the information you need before applying.
Okay. And when they want to apply, they come to the website, they come to GrantWatch, they click the link, they'll see exactly where your grant is, or they go straight to you. What is your website called?
That is tctrail.ca, short for transcanadatrail.ca.
They need to find out that their mission is aligned with your mission. They meet all the eligibility requirements. They complete their application. About how long do you estimate it should take them to complete the application?
In terms of them completing it, totally depends on the information that they're providing us. It should be able to be completed within an afternoon if all of your paperwork is together. And in terms of us getting back to them, we say no longer than 12 weeks for a decision from us.
Okay, so that's 3 months, which is very fair. Right. And the one thing I tell grant applicants all the time is applying for a grant should never be your last step. That you shouldn't be so needy that without this grant, your whole organization is going to collapse. This should be something that supplements whatever you're doing. and whatever you've been doing before. Do they need to spend the money first and then ask for the reimbursement, or does the money come in one check?
The money comes in several checks. So there will be a certain amount that comes on the signing of the contribution agreement with us, a certain amount usually that comes with a progress report, and a certain amount with a final report.
Okay, so they don't really need to lay out the money in advance. They just need to submit.
They do need to have matching funds in place from other funders. Depending on the program that they're applying to, some programs do not require that, but most do.
Mm-hmm. You know, I wrote a grant years ago, and it was to take over a building, and it was $250,000 that they were getting to take over this building, and the organization didn't read the fine print. And even though I said, you know, it's a matching grant, they didn't really pay that much attention to it. They got the grant and they had to walk away from it because they couldn't match the money. So these are things that people really need to pay attention to. Which of your grants are matching?
Yes, traditionally, if it's an infrastructure or any kind of construction grant, we give 35%, up to $60,000 in a fiscal year. Our grants range from $1,000 to $60,000 for a study. So this would be an engineering study if they were building a bridge. Maybe they're doing some graphic design work for signage. We will give up to 50% for those kind of agreements. In some cases, if there's an emergency, if there is circumstances that we deal on an individual basis, there may be some leniency, and we may give more, or even up to 100% if we have a donor that is very interested in a very specific project on the trail. But again, that is rare, and we would project manage that one as opposed to waiting for an application to come in. Application times are usually in the fall, so we have the intake up until about Christmas time. We make decisions early January, February, so then that way come construction season, March, April, people know if they have funding or not. With the matching funds, some of it is provincial. They will get money from our different provinces, which is similar to your state funding. And if that usually happens early summer. So sometimes there is just a bit of a lag before they actually get their money if they know they're going to proceed. So we do give a little bit of leniency to make sure that they are successful at their project. And again, we deal with it on an individual basis.
On your website, will people find some training hints or documents or webinars so that I find that when grant seekers go to different websites in different states, different countries, they learn so much about the grant writing process besides going to the grant training where that's done by a grant writer. Just listening to the funding sources. Do you have things like that?
Absolutely. We made a video several years ago on how to apply for our grants. We try to make the process as easy and transparent as possible for those who are applying to, basically increase their chances of moving forward with us. We love funding great projects. We love hearing about what people have got going on in the community. So we try to make it as easy as possible for our partners.
Well, I think besides hitting the subscribe button below, people should write the word trailblazing or something. Trails. Let's put trails down there. And that way you'll see their comments and know what you want to respond to them with. Because people really need that mentorship, that somebody else to talk to when they have an idea and where to go. And if it's a mom and pop that want to do something, they may walk into the municipality and speak to them about it. And then the municipality can apply for it. Like maybe there's a very long stretch and there's no place to sit down and they need park benches. And only the people using the trail really feel that way, or they need some water stations or something. Just putting things out there for people that go to the municipality and let them know the people sitting behind the desk, maybe they never go on a hike. Maybe they never get out of the office, right? But this way they can apply to you somewhere throughout Canada. The work that you do is wonderful because we need to get out of our offices. We need to start walking and doing and enjoying nature and getting away from the news and everything else that disturbs us, right? So I think that what you're doing just helps with mental health so much.
Absolutely. And we have the stats for that as well. We've done various surveys with the GER that back that up. We do go into detail on like the economic benefits of trails to local businesses. People don't necessarily understand how much trails actually cost to not only to build, but to maintain. And in terms of the approaching your local municipality or government, talking about, we would love to install benches on the trail, for your example, knowing those costs up front, some municipalities would have other things that are higher priority, but being able to actually talk about the benefits of providing accessible trails and the benefits to a community, and not only the community members, but also the community businesses, is really important and really helps municipalities get on board with trail building projects.
And what do you do with the indigenous population that you're working with? What kind of programs?
Sure. We have a couple of different programs. We have one that supports a trail support program, which supports indigenous-led projects in communities across Canada. We're doing things like gardens. We're doing things including like providing accessible trails, trail maintenance, land-based education. So some really, really cool projects coming out of that. We also have the Indigenous Communities Program, which supports Indigenous communities that are along the Trans-Canada Trail. The TSP supports any community in Canada, not just those on the trail. But that's involving enhancing local Trans-Canada Trail within Indigenous communities with interpretive signage, language-based signage, that sort of thing.
When the trail is being reformatted, revitalized, you have signage that tells people, for tourists, go to the right, go to the left, and that way you bring economic development to those areas as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be something that would be considered on a trailhead sign, or on interpretive signage is generally something towards like nature-based information. So learning about your local blackbird population or understanding the history of the trail. What you're referencing is a little bit more wayfinding. So putting up signage that points people towards different directions and different amenities on the trail.
So what would you tell the organizations in the United States to do that's similar to what you're doing?
Heidi, do you want to answer this one? I would point towards American Trails, but I'm not sure if I'm missing anything else.
Yes, our counterparts in the United States are American Trails. They are advocates and stewards of the trail network within the United States. They give out grants in a different capacity and for different rules. And I welcome you to invite them on the show, because I'm sure your listeners would be most inclined to listen to how their grant system is a little bit different than ours. But yeah, for the United States, I know times are changing, but reach out to your local trail groups or your governments and find out how you can be a part and see how you can get grants through different resources. Not only just through American Trails, but sometimes like I know Ford gives out grants for recreational trails, Yamaha and places like that. So reach out.
What would you tell American Trails that you've learned?
We recently went down to the International Trail Summit, and the interest, because I think the United States is more heavily populated than Canada. You have 400 million, we have 40 million across a vaster area. Your sense of community in America for the trail organizations is a lot more tight-knit, whereas, again, because of our diversity and our land mass, we aren't as connected as what we should be. But, Trans-Canada Trail tries to help with that.
And we're going to help you with that as well by putting up this video. So thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the grant writing community?
I would just say not to give up if you don't succeed in a grant. There's lots of very cool opportunities out there, and there's lots of organizations that want to make things happen. So if you're not successful in getting a grant for a certain project, I would say to keep trying and keep looking at other opportunities to see what else is available. If you've got a really good project, it'll find a home somewhere.
Oh, that's a nice logo to put. If you have a great project, it'll find a home somewhere. And hopefully you'll find the grant on GrantWatch, where we add new grants every single day. Thank you so much, Ainsley. Thank you, Heidi. Continue to do the great work that you're doing. Thank you. And everybody, please hit that subscribe button below and add the word trails underneath it so that we know that you're interested in getting more information from this organization. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Grant Talk, powered by GrantWatch. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this GrantWatch channel. Please consider subscribing to GrantWatch.com, and you can find the book, The Queen of Grants, by going to GrantWatch.com/book. Thank you again for spending your time with us.